Welcome back to the Tavern, World Builders! Today we're talking about the TV show Futurama. Beware for anybody who has not watched the show, here there be spoilers. We will be focusing on the first season, however, we make no promises to not mention other seasons as well, so just be warned if you care about that sort of thing. With that, you should definitely grab an ale, non-alcoholic always available, and pull up a chair. I'm Emma, your friendly barkeep, along with Allison.
Hello!
And Christiana.
Hi.
And my cat Arthur, who you can no doubt hear in the background saying hi. And we are all so happy to have you here. Cheers!
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 So for anybody who has not watched it, Futurama is an animated adult TV show made by the same people who made The Simpsons, and it is essentially a workplace sitcom, the plot of which revolves around the Planet Express Interplanetary Delivery Company and its employees, a small group that largely fails to conform to future society. The show is set in the year 3000, and the society is suitably futuristic. Episodes usually feature the central trio of Fry, a delivery boy from the 20th century who accidentally gets locked into stasis and wakes up 1,000 years later in the year 3000. Leela, a one-eyed alien who is later revealed to be not an alien at all, but rather a mutant human. And Bender, a bending robot with a hatred for humanity. Though occasionally, storylines will center on the other main characters at Planet Express as well. They are a ragtag, motley group of misfits. With that, let's get right into Happy Hour. We have all watched the show before, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many times. I have a nibbler tattoo, actually.
Oh, I always
That's
forget that you have a
how-
nibbler tattoo. That's so good.
I'm in it to win it. It's one of my
love
favorite
nibblers.
shows of all time.
It is a fantastic show. I really like it.
I also love it because it's the gift that keeps on giving. The humor in it and the little details are so smart and so dense that I've probably rewatched the entire series, like, it sounds bad to say, but like at least 20 times, like the whole thing start to finish. And usually in the background while I'm doing work, but I still catch little ongoing jokes and little things here and there that I didn't notice before. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
very clever.
It's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the ending to the original series, because it ran and then it got canceled and then it got picked up again a couple years ago and they did a few more seasons of it. But the original ending of the series, I've always thought is like one of the purest forms of love that I've ever seen.
Best.
And it's like the whole world gets frozen except for Leela and Fry, who are like in a relationship at this point, and they essentially like live out the rest of their lives together and grow old together. And then at the very end, the professor who founded Planetary Express pops through this wormhole and is like, "We fixed it, you guys can come back and like live with all of us." And Leela and Fry turn to each other and are like, "What do you think? You want to do it all again?" And then they go, and I'm like, if that's not love, like choosing to just live your life together over and over, it's just so sweet. I'm like, that's
I'm
love.
like
Oh my
legitimately tearing up at just the description of it. It gets me every single time. I was actually quite upset when I found out because it was canceled twice, actually. That was
Yes, yeah. Because like The
second
Wild
ending.
Green Yonder, like at season 3 or something, I think was the first.
is a movie.
ending?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the movie. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, after the first ending. But yeah, it ended so perfectly that I was actually quite upset that they picked it up again. And I've watched the new episodes, and I hate to say, but they're still good, but it doesn't hold up the same. So
I don't think I've even watched the new episodes. I was just like, that's where it ended for me. It was perfect, and I don't need any more.
yeah, I don't need to know anymore. I know,
Yeah.
and it was teased for years too. Everyone kept being like, it's coming back, and I kept being like, no, it ended. How rare to have a series that has that many seasons and just have it end perfectly and beautifully. So I was fighting it the whole time.
So I did research in preparation for this
Allison
episode.
is so prepared.
I know, right? And so I was reading an interview with the executive producer of Futurama, David Cohen, on Lightspeed magazine, and he talks about how the show gets more serious as it goes on because of feedback they got. And he said a lot of those episodes, like at first, they were just kind of silly. And so I only rewatched season 1 in preparation, which we usually only like read the first book or watch the first season for episodes of the podcast. And so I was like watching with that in mind. I'm like, yeah, these are quite silly. There's like 13 episodes in the first season. And a lot of it is just like, Fry decides to track down the last anchovy on Earth, or, like just like dumb stuff. And then in later seasons, they get a lot more serious. Like, I have this image ingrained in my mind of the episode where Fry's dog waits for him for forever.
Yes,
It's so sad. And so Cohen just talks about how their jokes ended up landing more or feeling funnier in that more serious
in the contrast
backdrop.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, and like, so I was looking and noticing, I'm like, yeah, I remember this getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more like more sci-fi tropey, like in the later seasons than it was this. But this season was still very fun. I think it was a good introduction to the show.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm curious, who are both of your favorite characters from the show?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, the Nibbler tattoo.
That's true.
Sort of gives that one away.
Should be obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it would be Nibbler, though. I think Nibbler is so cute and funny. And I love the contrast of it being so cute. And then when he finally does talk, it's like this really insane baritone.
That
still
not
cracks me up a little.
When he talked, I was like, no, I want you to be a cute little creature. Why do you have this deep man voice?
I don't know why. Yeah. It cracks me up for some reason. And being like the smartest creatures on Earth, and he's otherwise just making weird little noises and wearing a diaper. I'm like, that's great. I love that.
I don't know if favorite is the right word, but I really like Zap Brannigan.
Oh, Zap Brannigan.
Just because of how outrageous he is and what he represents and like how awful,
I still only ever say velour as velour. And I only ever say champagne as like, come, drink champagne.
Yeah.
That one gets me.
I think he's a great character.
His relationship with Kif is so funny.
It's so funny.
It's so good. My favorite character is Zoidberg. I love him so much.
Oh yeah, Zoidberg, classic.
Zoidberg, yeah.
I love the weird crab.
Jordan and I say that to each other. Make that noise.
Yeah.
Just cause I don't know why we do it.
It's just so fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very quotable show. The one episode where like the brains come to Earth and they have to like write the story to get the brains to go away, but Fry does it, so there's a whole bunch of typos. And then the brain is like, and now I will leave Earth for no reason, and just like flies up into the sky. I'm like, whenever I'm leaving the apartment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to work, and I'm leaving now for no reason.
To shreds, you say.
Yeah.
I forgot how early that quote, because like that's also a big quote. And it's like in the first like 4 episodes or something, which I always forget. I feel like it should be later on, but nope.
And Christiana was mentioning earlier that all the writers in the show have PhDs, like a bunch of them.
Yeah,
like
a lot of
PhDs
the math and science is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's cool.
I love shows that do that. One of my favorite show that we've talked before is The Good Place, and they do the same thing where they talk about like their philosophy is to like have a deep philosophical thing and then like a fart joke, and it's like that combination of like really cerebral things and then like really stupid jokes is just so good.
I never would have thought to compare the two, but yeah, they do have similar vibes,
right? They weirdly do.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about those vibes and head on over to Tavern Talk. So we're going to be talking about Futurama as the genre of comedic sci-fi. And we recently talked about humor with comedic fantasy with Dimension 20, but the humor and the jokes are very different between the two shows. So it'll be kind of fun to talk about Futurama's flavor of humor.
I was kind of afraid that we would just be going over the same stuff, but then when I actually looked at the two shows and compared the humor, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think part of it is how the delivery. Dimension 20, it's all very situational, right? You're putting real people in a room and they have the opportunity to do something hilarious. They're going to do it, kind of thing. Whereas this is like written, it's a literal script kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's quite different in that sense. But also this show, despite being set very far in the future, is very satirical about current events.
Yep.
Obviously, with all the celebrities and presidents and the Hall of Fame with their heads in jars, being able to bring
The
it up.
heads in jars is so
Yeah.
dumb, and it works
so
because
funny.
it's Futurama.
Yeah. But like, what a creative way to bring modern day commentary. Because it'd be
Yeah.
weird otherwise. It's like, why are
Yeah.
you talking about celebrities from 1,000 years ago? But it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense because
Yeah.
they're still there. It's like, oh, what perfect world building. Like right off the top, what a
Yeah.
perfect example of world building to like work into your themes and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, and it's clearly scientifically advanced. Obviously, they have spaceships. They're going to space. They're visiting different planets. Even
The moon
city,
is a hop, skip, and a jump away with them all in it.
Yeah, exactly. The city itself, which also, okay, I love the contrast of it being this very like forward city and like all this technology around it, the tubes people can travel around it and everything. But instead, they just called it New York like, instead of like the metropolis of the future. It's New York.
New York.
That cracks me
That's
up a
like
little
a
bit too.
sci-fi trope in itself. That's not the first, like, a New York
No,
is also
yeah.
in Doctor Who. It's like in other sci-fi
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
They just put New, which makes sense because New York is like, it's the New York. Like,
Yeah, it's also a
Obviously,
really
but-
sort of dumb naming system when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But they do have a lot of typical sci-fi tropes in it, aside from, technology. They have wormholes, there's parallel universes, artificial realities, aliens, time travel. Also robots, although Bender
Yeah,
is interesting
robots.
because can you define Bender as, I guess he's an AI, but I feel like he's so beyond AI that he's people almost.
Mhm.
So I think that's interesting because there are some robots in Futurama that are not intelligent.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the first episode, they go to a world made of robots. And it's funny because they're making a point about how all robots are like enslaved on Earth and these robots went to be their own masters. But then it turns out that the robot world is ruled by these robots that are exploiting the robots in that world too. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like Futurama does that a lot, makes these commentaries or makes people use satire a lot.
Mhm.
Like you think one thing and then do the exact opposite or something
Yeah.
like that.
Or getting out of one situation and then ending up in the exact same situation again.
Yeah.
But now you think
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, they tackle actually sometimes pretty philosophical and deep things, but entirely through absurd humor.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Bender's idea of himself when he visits the robot world, it's like, if I'm spending too much time with humans, I need to be a robot, but am I a robot? You know what I mean? It could
Mm-hmm.
have been a serious episode, but instead it's, nonsense.
Futurama.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. Or in the first episode where Fry wants to, he hates his life in the year 2000 and he's a delivery boy and he gets to the future and he gets his job assessment to see where he's going to be placed. He's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to be? And it's like, you should be a delivery boy. He's like, no. And then at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
he goes to work for his uncle at the planetary, or his great nephew, sorry, times 1,000 greats, and ends up being a delivery boy. He's like, I gotta be a delivery boy? Woohoo! And it's just like this.
Yeah, that's like a constant method
Yeah.
of humor in the show.
Yeah, because it's kind of the same with Leela. They get their chips mixed up or whatever. And she still, realistically, when she takes the job at Planet Express, she's still just telling people what to do for their jobs.
Yeah.
It's the same job.
The show does that with Leela in particular a lot.
Mhm.
Like, she'll set out to do something, or she'll have, like, a particular set of principles about something, and then by the end, she'll, like, do the opposite thing. Like, in the first season, they meet Zap Brannigan, and he's a misogynistic jerk, and she wants nothing to do with him and is like, ew. And then he has, like, a moment where he's sad, and she feels sorry for him and sleeps with him, and you're like, oh, Leela, no. But that seems to happen with her a lot. The other episode, or no, it's the same episode where they set out to save the animals on the planet. And
Yeah.
they do rescue them all, but then Nibbler eats them all. And then Leela's
Yeah.
like, oh, little Nibbler, he can't help it. It's just very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that use of irony. You expect one thing or a character feels some way, and then it's the exact opposite at the end, but for no particular reason almost. Like
yeah.
it's just because they're dumb or they're making a bad decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like that it's kind of the same vein, like with the irony almost in the world building, where it's like a super advanced society, but for some reason owls are the pests.
Oh, yeah.
In New York.
I forgot about
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like so unexpected. You're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I guess owls are the problem. And like
Yeah.
they're so angry at the owls.
You're getting
It's just-
owls.
Yeah. Yeah. So things like that built into the world itself, I think, are like in the first episode, Bender wanting to kill himself in a suicide machine and finding out he has a history with it. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because it is making fun of sci-fi tropes just within the characters themselves. But in the show, there are shows that they also make fun of. And
I
it's
didn't
just
remember that.
so meta. There's the All My Gears or something, the robot soap opera.
Yes, the robot soap opera. Yeah.
That they're making fun of
yeah.
constantly.
And like Calcitron, is that the
Calcitron is
actor
Calculon.
robot?
Yes, Calculon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
All my,
Calculon.
all my
right, yeah.
circuits. Yeah, the
All My Circuits,
soap opera.
Calculon is very funny. He's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
character too.
Yeah.
So yeah, having the shows within shows.
Yeah.
It's pretty meta.
The show also goes out of its way to make fun of how far humanity has come, and yet all humans are like jerks still.
Yes.
Yeah,
I feel like
and
that's
a little
point
bit
it makes
stupid.
A lot. Yeah,
Even the scientists are stupid.
yeah.
Like the professor is often quite dumb, and his
Yep.
rival Wormstrung is often quite dumb.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just a lot of mean, selfish character. Like even the main characters, Fry's pretty selfish. Bender's very selfish. Amy is quite self-absorbed.
Yeah.
Leela's really the only one that kind of thinks about other people sometimes, and
Yeah.
she's often portrayed as not realistic in how she's thinking, because
Yeah. I like the ways that they kind of poke fun at the sci-fi genre in general. Like when we first meet Zap Brannigan and Kif, who is his like long-suffering first mate. They're wearing the like silly dress uniforms, like literal dresses which is a spoof or is like satire of the original Star Trek, where all the male Starfleet officers wore pants and then the women all wore mini skirts. And so now they're like evening it out by everybody, including the men wearing mini skirt uniforms, which is very funny. Yeah, like poking fun at casual misogyny that exists in a lot of like, especially like old school sci-fi, but like even modern sci-fi can still have some of those things going on. So it was fun to see them like poke at that and like not even say anything. It's just there in the art, in the background almost.
I mean, that's why I like Zap Brannigan so much, is because they are poking fun at that misogynistic character. That's so common. And I feel like they can get away with it because you can tell the writers are actually sci-fi fans. It's not like someone from the outside making fun of something. It's like they understand these tropes and conventions and are playing with them in a really smart way.
I was also thinking, like, there's not a lot of episodes that rewatching I'm like, ooh, that aged badly. Or like that, that was a really inappropriate joke. Because they can get a little controversial sometimes, certainly, but they go about it in a very smart way that is like so obviously nudge, nudge, wink, wink that it still holds up. Even they play on the trope of in sci-fi of like badass space captain goes and finds a planet full of sexy women kind of thing. And the Amazonian one, Death by Snoo Snoo, which by the way, my parents did not want me watching that show. And I was like, no, it's really not a bad show. My sister and I were obsessed with it. And we're like, no, just watch one episode and you'll see like it's, and of course it was that episode that was on that night. I was like, oh my God.
That's like the law.
Never going to be
you
allowed
watch a show
TV
with your
ever
parents
again.
and there's suddenly a sex scene. And you're like, this has never happened before.
No,
I don't know why this is
I
happening
know.
now.
I was like, why?
Actually, I find it super annoying because for a bunch of shows, maybe not anymore, but there's often a sex scene in the very first episode, and then like none of the rest of the show has one. I'm like, why did they do that? I want my parents to watch
lure
this show.
people in. Yeah, I guess it's like
yeah.
sex sells. Put it in the first episode, and then never. We don't need to do any more. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, another humor technique they use is just saying nonsense things. So when I was watching this time, I noticed there's just random throwaway lines that you might not really pay attention to. But in one of the first episodes, the professor just talks about how, every pound of substance X weighs 1,000 pounds. And I was like, wait, just like random lines like that are just dumb. It's funny because if you actually pay attention and listen to what they're saying, it's nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is like, the absurdity. Or like the, even, we mentioned it before, but like the episode where it's all based on like Fry's favorite pizza topping being anchovies, but in the year 3000, all the anchovies have been fished out of existence. And so
because of Zoidberg's people.
Because of Zoidberg's people hate all of them.
Yeah.
And it's just like the humor in the like complete unexpectedness of like, anchovies being anybody's favorite topping on pizza ever. Where it's like, typically people hate anchovies, and now they're like this delicacy, and it's this whole thing based on this kind of absurd premise, which is very, very funny. And they do that a lot, taking something that you wouldn't think would be the case and then just bringing it to its like most extreme end, and that being very comedic.
Yeah, they yes and a lot of situations in the writing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a fun writing room. Like it would be fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, I bet.
Full of smart, funny people.
Yeah.
Just like this podcast.
Aww.
Look at that. One more trope that is like really quick that I just wanted to talk about before we jump to our next segment is the mad scientist trope in sci-fi. Which we've talked about some other sci-fi, but we haven't had this come up too much. And so it's really funny to see Futurama's take on it, which is that like the old man who runs Planet Express, who is Fry's like great times 1,000 nephew. He is kind of a mad scientist, but he's like, and he like kind of is evil. Like he doesn't really have much empathy or like care for the people around him, but like kind of
he doesn't have many morals.
Way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like funny because he can't really act on it a lot of the time, which is very amusing.
Yes. And though his inventions would realistically be scientifically groundbreaking, it's like kind of stupid, like the smelloscope.
I was
like
just
a telescope that you sniff instead.
You can smell things at great distance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super helpful.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then one other sort of sci-fi trope that it kind of flips is that oftentimes when you have a sci-fi society, it's either a utopia like Star Trek where they've like solved all of humanity's problems and everything is perfect, or it's a dystopia where like everything has fallen into ruin and is awful. And in Futurama, it's kind of neither. Life just goes on and you still have your shitty job and your shitty apartment, but now you also have like a tube that takes you to work. It's like, life isn't that different, is it?
And there are suicide booths.
And there are
a few other weird things.
So we have that to look forward to in the year 3000, I guess. With that, let's pop over to Proprietor's Pick. Allison, what book do you have that is similar to Futurama? I'm very curious as to what you have found.
I'm so proud of my pick for this one. I'm really excited about this. It is called I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com by Kimberly Lemming. And here's what it's about. Dorothy Valentine is close to getting her PhD in wildlife biology when she's attacked by a lion. On the bright side, she's saved. On the not so bright side, it's because they're abducted by aliens. In their scramble to escape, Dory and the lion commandeer an escape pod and crash land on an alien planet that has dinosaurs? Dory and her new lion bestie, Toto, are saved in the nick of time by a mysterious and sexy alien, Soul. On their new adventure, they team up with the equally hot, equally dangerous Locke, who may or may not be a war criminal. Whether it be trauma, fate, or intrigue, Dory can't resist the attraction that's developing in their trio. As this ragtag group of misfits explore their new planet, Dory learns more about how and why they've all ended up together, battles more prehistoric creatures than she imagined 0, and questions if she even wants to go back home to Earth in this hilarious and steamy alien romance adventure comedy romp.
This is so aggressively up my alley. It's not even funny.
I'm not a romance fan,
gonna read this.
but I thought Christiana might like it, and I'm even tempted to read it, even though I'm not a romance fan, because it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm so into this. And side note, I think there needs to be more monster romance. I saw Nosferatu. Everyone was like, ew. And I was like, yum. So I think there needs to be more monster romance in general. I'm here for it. Aliens included in that.
So this book just came out last month as of this episode airing. So you can get it now. The cover is also really fun and bright and colorful. So it looks really fun. So you should check it out and then let us know how it is, because it sounds amazing.
That sounds awesome.
And you can get it on our bookshop.org page.
Yay! I think this brings us to last call. So here are some concluding thoughts and questions that we think we can learn from Futurama to apply to our own world building. Christiana, what do you take away from Futurama that you think will help other people in building their worlds?
World building in general, you can make it what you want of it, right? Sometimes the world exists for the story. I think this is one of those instances where it's not the world was built and the story happens in it. There was a story, but wouldn't it be funny if it was in the future? But the main thing I want to say is you gotta get smart if you want to get dumb. I think is a really good rule for comedy in general, is if it was just fart jokes the whole time, I don't think it would be nearly as funny. So you gotta get a little smart if you want to get a little dumb.
You gotta keep people off base. Give them something, the 1-2 jab of you're not expecting this.
And that could apply to the world itself, right? Like I said, there's wormholes, they can travel through time, they could do all these things. Owls are the pests. Like just throwing that one little wrench into it makes it really funny.
Totally. Allison, what do you take from Futurama's world building that we can apply to our own?
I really like how Futurama does satire, especially how it makes fun of sci-fi. And I was trying to think about at what point does it become mean when you're making fun of something, and at what point is it funny and you're part of the joke. And the writers make it feel funny and like you're part of something, as opposed to this thing you love being made fun of. I think because they understand the genre so well. So it's like, we could be friends. Like, they're my people, as opposed to like, they're someone on the outside looking in and making fun of it. So I think if you want to write satire like Futurama, you just need to really understand the genre that you're writing in, which is maybe really basic advice. But I think it's good to remember, like, just understand the tropes, know what's normal in the genre and how you might like play with it or make fun of it in a way that isn't just like, haha,
they never
what a stupid
punch
thing.
down.
Yeah.
If maybe sometimes they punch laterally, but most of the time they're punching up. They're not like, aren't you stupid for liking this genre?
Yeah.
It's like, we all like this genre. It's silly sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Well, and they're not just making fun of it. They're like using a lot of sci-fi tropes like aliens and wormholes and whatever that particular episode is about. But then they're also putting Zap Brannigan in a uniform dress or what? That relates to Star Trek or whatever,
Yes, yeah. Which I think is how you know that it's being done lovingly, is because a lot of the jokes you wouldn't get unless you know the genre really well.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like it's clear it's an inside joke, because it's like, we both know this, wink wink, and that's why it's funny. And if you don't know about it, it's like, oh, why is this funny? So totally. And then one thing that I was really thinking about when watching Futurama this time for the podcast, doing the rewatch of the first season, is something that a lot of sci-fi and fantasy authors employ, which is having a character who in the story is an outsider to the world in the same way that the audience is, because that allows you to say things about the world that would feel a little bit too expository if it was to a character who should know about the world. Like, it makes sense for Leela and Bender to be telling Fry, well, this is how things work in the year 3000, because he's just arrived in the year 3000. Whereas if Bender was saying that to Leela, it becomes a, well, why are you, it's an, as you know, we do this. It's like, well, then why are you saying it? And that's when it starts to get irritating. But if you have a character who's a little bit of a fish out of water, and that could be for multiple reasons. Like, it could be that they got stuck in a cryogenic chamber. It could be that they just moved from somewhere else. It could be, that they grew up really rich and now they're in a place that's really poor, or anything. For any reason, having a character who's just a little bit of an outsider can help you explain things about your world in a less annoying way than if all of your
Yes.
characters should know this info.
That is
That's
such
a
a
really good
common
point.
trope too,
Mhm.
and especially in fantasy, like it's often a non-magical character being introduced to like a magical world or things like that. And
yeah.
it's a trope because it works really well because you feel like you're along for the ride.
Totally. And it also, I think, pops up too in like sitcoms, which, as we talked about, like Futurama is kind of like a workplace, like situational comedy. But, you know, having like the straight man, like the Jim in the office, or the person who can like look at the camera and be like, what is this absurdity that's happening all around me? So that also works really well. Is just having one character who is a little bit of a stand-in for the audience can be super helpful.
Although they play with that a bit with Futurama, and that Fry is just as stupid as the other characters.
Leela's kind of the straight man a lot of the time, because she'll like call out like, you guys are being ridiculous. What is going on here? I love Leela. Leela's got to be like my second favorite character. She's so good.
She's wonderful.
I love her. But with that, we are at closing time. We would love to stay longer, but this mail just isn't going to sort itself. Thank you so much for joining us at the tavern. If hands-on world building is something that interests you along with these more theoretical discussions, then you should absolutely check out our world building workshops. These are bonus monthly episodes where we build a different element of a world every session, and they are available for our patrons at our $5 and up tiers at patreon.com/worldbuilderstavern. In this month's episode, we are building a plant. Yay!
A plant?
A plant!
What?
So that episode should be coming out next week, so that gives you just enough time to binge all of the previous ones before listening to that one. Make sure you check out our description to find a link to help a Palestinian family escape Gaza. You can find us on our website, worldbuilderstavern.com, which has links to our TikTok, Discord, and our bookshop.org page, where you can buy the books that we talk about on the podcast, supporting both us and an indie bookstore. We hope to serve you here again soon, but until next time, scram!
Bye.
Get out of here.